All right, let's continue with this problem. One little thing, I had left off the negative on that equation. It won't affect our boundaries because we would just set our factors equal to 0. Just like we didn't include the 2. We wouldn't include the -1. But let's remember that that -1 is there when we evaluate our sign chart on the final expression. And that negative has to go with one of these factors. So let's put the negative with the x minus 9. All right, so now let's evaluate. All right, so if I plug in something negative, say, or even say -3, something between -2, -infinity and -2, like -3, right? I would get -3 minus 9. You get something negative in here, right? This is going to be a negative expression. If I multiply a negative times a negative, that is positive. If we plug something like -3 into the second expression, -3 plus 2. In fact, anything less than -2 is going to give us a negative number, with -2 giving us 0. So this interval is negative. The same thing with x plus 1. Plug in anything -2 and below, you're going to get a negative number. So you've got a positive times a negative times a negative. Our expression here would be positive. All right, now let's plug in -2 to -1. All right, so something on the interval there. How about -1.5? So -1.5 minus 9, because we can use any number on the interval to evaluate, because every number on the interval, with the exception of the endpoints, is going to give us the same. We're going to have the same sign. All right, so. Again, we're going to have something negative inside the parentheses, and negative times a negative is positive. All right, so now if we were to plug in -1.5 in the next expression, -1.5 plus 2. All right, so 2 is larger. This is going to be a positive value. But if this were a 1, now the -1.5 is larger, so it would be negative. And so you've got a positive times a negative. Odd number of negatives is going to be negative. All right, so something between -1 and 9. How about 0? All right, so -0 minus 9, again, negative times a negative. That would be positive. And then 2 and 1 are positive numbers, so if you don't add anything to them, they're still going to be positive numbers, right? So everything on the interval, -1 to 9, except for -1 there, is going to cause x plus 2 and x plus 1 to be positive. So you're multiplying all positive numbers, you've got a positive answer. All right, so now something between 9 and infinity. Take 10. All right, so -10 minus 9. Now everything greater than 9 is going to give you a positive value. So a negative times a positive is going to be negative, right? So that interval is negative, but all the others are positive, right? You're just adding positive numbers to positive numbers. You've got an odd number of negatives. The expression is negative. All right, so now let's consider our endpoints. Are they included? Right, if this was not a less than or equal to, then it would be no matter what. But because we have an equal sign included, we have to check. Make sure they're good, right? We can't have something undefined. So first, let's check our endpoints. So our intervals that are good are the ones where the expression is less than 0, in other words, negative. So this would be these two. And so -2, -1, 9, those are all endpoints at some point on those two intervals. If we plug in -2, 0 is greater than -2 minus 9, -2 plus 2, and 2 times -2 plus 1, we're going to end up with -11, but who cares, because -2 plus 2 is 0. Our denominator is not 0, so that's okay. It's 2, -2. So this is going to be 0. So that one is included because we can have, this is okay, right? 0 is greater than or equal to 0, right? So that's okay. So -2 is included. So -2, check. So next one, if we look down, let's plug in the -1. So I'm just going across. So let's plug in -1 and see what happens. So if 0 is greater than or equal to -1 minus 9, and oh boy, that looks like an A. And then -1 plus 2, and 2 times -1 plus 1. Well, we've got a negative times -10 times 1, so that's just going to be 10. But who cares? This is going to be 0, so that's 0 in a denominator. That's no good, right? So -1 is a no, right? We are undefined at -1. It makes the denominator 0, so no good. We'll throw that one away. How about the last one, 9? 0 is greater than or equal to 9 minus 9, 9 plus 2, over 2 times 9 plus 1. So right away you've got a 0 in the numerator, right? 0 times anything is going to be 0, and the denominator is not 0, so it's all okay. It's 20. So 0 is greater than or equal to 0. 9 is also okay. So we've got 2 of our endpoints are fine. The one that makes the denominator 0 is not. And if that did not include an equals, none of them would have been good. All right, so let's put our answer down in both set and interval notation. So in interval notation, our solution is, so we want these two. All right, so we want -2, and we are including -2, right? -2 is okay, so we're going to give that one a bracket. -2, right? Not including -1, so he gets a parentheses. And we're including everything greater than or equal to 9. Oops, let me make that better. Everything greater than or equal to 9. So this is going to be bracket 9 infinity. All right, so that's our answer in interval notation. So this is our solution in interval notation and set notation. So in set notation, this thing is a brace x, such that, so we can be equal to -2. Right? We can be greater than or equal to -2 and less than 1, or we could be greater than or equal to 9. Right, there's our solution in both interval notation and set notation. So let's graph. It's our last thing. All right, so between -2 and 1, -2 is included. Between -2 and, not -2 and 1, -2 and -1. There we go. So -2 is included, -1 is not included. So there we have an closed circle at -2, open circle at -1. Everything greater than 9 is included, including 9. Everything greater than or equal to 9 is included. So, I don't know, I guess that's good enough. All right, it's hard to fill. I can't fill it into the bottom, but that's okay. That looks just fine. All right, so we've got our solution represented as an interval, as a set, and on the graph. And that means we're done. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.